Welcome to TTS's first podcast. We're at Sail Squad, 120 strangers in Vida, Greece. Mm-hmm. What are your names?
I'm Abby. I'm from America. I'm 21. First trip.
Nice.
I'm Michaela, 22, from Melbourne, Australia. First TTS trip as well.
Excellent. Okay, and so before you came on this trip, how did you find out about it?
For me, it was an Instagram reel that popped up, and it looked really interesting. And then I kind of found their Facebook page and was just doing a deep dive on the whole thing, finding out what it was, and then looked into the Greece trip specifically because it was sailing, and I've never done a sailing trip and always wanted to see the Greek islands.
Yes.
And it looked like an amazing time with people similar to your own age, where you'd be able to make friends from all around the world, which is lovely to have nice connections, and people who have the similar interests to you, which was kind of a big one for me, people who love traveling.
What's travel look like before you found out about TTS?
I mean, for me, I traveled a lot in the U.S. with like my friend group and everything, but I've never done solo traveling, and I've never been to Europe. So it's like the first Europe trip, and this is the first solo trip for me.
Is it a good introduction to Europe?
I think it was a great introduction.
Excellent.
I think good vibes all around.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
How about yourself?
For me, I've always loved traveling. My mum was an avid traveler and would tell us stories growing up. She's Danish, so I'm half Danish as well. I was born there. And I've always loved traveling, and every time we visited Denmark, we've always tried to visit at least another country within Europe. So growing up, we've always talked about it and always tried to do short trips here and there. So for me, the moment I could after COVID as well and travel by myself, I've tried to. I did a bit of Europe and I've done a bit of America as well.
Okay, nice. Okay, so on the kind of topic of stories, have either of you got any stories kind of from previous trips or something that's kind of happened so far on the trip, something you've really enjoyed, some sort of experience which kind of would catch somebody's eye?
So I'm from Boston, Massachusetts, and so we did a trip with 9 people to Florida.
Okay.
Stayed in one hotel room. That was quite the experience. And I had known, so I went with a few of my friends, but then they brought friends that I had never met before. So my personality like clicks really well with random people. And I was like, we're going to Florida with these random people, staying in a hotel room with 9 of us. And like 2 beds. How is this going to work?
I was going to say, how many beds? Okay,
2 beds.
2 beds. Okay,
Two
so
beds.
people on the sofa, on the floor.
Yes, everywhere. And I was
Okay.
like, this is going to either go really well or really great. And it went really, really well. And it kind of like prompted me into like really traveling more. And like just having those experiences, like you just have to say fuck it and just go. And do whatever it is that like is the vibe in that moment.
And so, okay, so strangers then.
Yeah.
Obviously, this trip has like 120 random strangers. Like, is that as scary as most people would expect it to be, or is it less intimidating than expected?
I would say it's exciting. At least me personally, I've always loved it. When I solo travel, I love it because you're meeting other people who are also in the same boat as you. I was gonna say, when I was in New York a couple summers ago, everyone that was traveling at the hostel there was all in large groups, so no one was willing to like kind of mingle with each other.
Yeah.
So knowing that I'm going with a bunch of strangers, everyone's in the same boat of no one knows anyone. Everyone wants to get to know each other. Everyone has the same interests in traveling in itself, so everyone's extremely friendly and open to meeting anyone and everyone. And I think that makes it so much nicer than if you're traveling in large groups where cliques has already formed without you ever even meeting anyone else. You're kind of traveling with a large group of strangers without actually traveling with others. That's how I see it when you travel in groups. So I think it's nice when you do it solo.
Yeah.
And you meet people along the way.
I also think it's like super nerve-wracking, like leading up to it. Like you're like 120 strangers. Like what am I walking into? Because you don't know any of these people. You don't know their background. You don't know where they're from. You don't know their personality.
And you get dropped in a big chat, and everybody starts sending memes, and you're like, "What's
so
going on?"
overwhelming. And you get 500 texts at work, and you're like,
okay, maybe I'll mute the chat just for a few days.
That's the worst idea ever,
just
though.
to cope. Okay, I'm back in.
And then you're like, what did I miss in the last 24 hours? I'm so overwhelmed. It's definitely like super overwhelming leading up to it. But then you get here, and you're like, oh my God, I love all these people.
Yeah.
Like these are my people.
See, I'd compare it to like, so if you've ever been skydiving, I always think like, when I think back to skydiving, I realized that the scariest thing really is
Getting up.
it's leading up to it. Like
Yeah.
the moment that you actually jump out the plane, you can't do anything about
No.
it, and it's like, oh, well, actually, this is nowhere near as scary as being in the car going to the plane.
Yeah.
And you're getting in the plane, and then you're going up, and you're just thinking, oh my god, you're thinking kind of the worst.
Yeah.
But then once you're committed, you're like, actually,
This is amazing.
here are all the great things. It's amazing, exactly.
Yeah.
I think
yeah.
what was nice about the group chat though was everyone was willing to travel and meet up with each other, and everyone wanted to arrive early to meet everyone and get to know everyone. I think it shows that everyone's interested in actually getting along and meeting everyone and seeing where everyone's from and comparing cultures and countries.
Exactly.
Yeah, like at the end of the day, we're all here for the same reason.
Yeah.
Like we all saw the same reel on Instagram or the same Facebook page, and we were like, 120 strangers in Greece.
Sign me up.
Fuck it, just I'm gonna go do it. I'm gonna go do it.
Yeah.
So like at the end of the day, we're all here for the same reason: to meet people, to mingle, to make connections. So you gotta keep that in mind. We all have the same intentions at the end of the day, and I think that really brings us all together.
In the middle of the ocean.
We're in the middle of the ocean. Time to go swim.
With turquoise water. What could get better?
And the turtle, which I learned the German word is.
Do you remember it?
Schildkröten.
Wait, sorry, what?
The German word for turtle
Is what?
is Schildkröten.
Wow.
I just learned German.
Okay.
This is my new
Just learned
hobby as of like 2 days ago. Is learning German.
Okay, nice.
So
And
I'm
British
probably
words.
pronouncing it wrong.
And British words.
Oh, and British words. Some people told me some British words.
So what sort of British words have you heard so far?
That's a fun story.
Well, let's just say
Not me.
some people told me, they were like, so nonce
It means that they're
means a nice person. So I
Oh
was like,
god, no.
Awesome, lovely. And it lasted all of 2 minutes before I figured out it does not mean a nice person.
Okay, so you didn't walk in and just be like,
No,
you
I
look
wasn't
so...
like, nonce. You're such a nonce.
Oh god.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah, no. So that's one of the challenges with TTS is the fact that I suppose there
Watch
are
out,
British
people might fuck with
and
you.
we're you know.
Yeah, also word of advice. You might leave with a British accent after the trip, so be aware. Take
I
some
start
caution.
I start taking on the American accent when I'm
Really?
getting my water.
We can trade then.
Yeah, we can trade. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take the British accent. You can take the American.
Brilliant. I mean, that's one of the things with TTS I found is like you meet somebody and then you can then make friends with them on the trip, but then you can kind of like I've visited people from all around the US that I've met on TTS trips, and then TTS turns from these random strangers to making a friend, and then that friend is now
Oh my
going to
God,
introduce
totally,
you to
yeah.
more random strangers, and it's kind of these kind of infinite branches.
Yeah.
So I suppose in terms of so far we've had 120.
Yeah.
How many people do you think you would kind of invite back on a trip? Let's say you rented a boat, next summer. How
Yeah.
many people would you invite, or how many kind of real friends do you think you're taking away?
I mean,
There's no wrong answer here.
To be fair,
I was
I
gonna
would
say,
invite
like-
everyone.
Yeah.
Okay,
Everyone
yeah.
has been so lovely, so I would invite everyone. But walking away with real friends,
Okay, let me
that's
ask you.
going to change throughout the entire week because you're going to spend time with so many different people.
How many names do you think you'll remember?
I reckon I already know 30 names at least.
30 names at least.
There-
Yeah, I was
Well,
saying
that's
I was saying that
impressive.
just yesterday with someone. I was saying I reckon I could already name 20 to 30 names, and I
Okay.
did get to 20 at least. And then after last night's games and meeting
Yes.
people, I think I could do at least 30. I reckon.
So, we did icebreakers last night.
yes.
To start with, I think icebreakers are a bit cheesy, but how did you find them?
I mean, the overall idea of it, definitely cheesy. It's like speed dating, but with like random strangers. And on a friendship level.
Was it like 15 tables, and each table had like roughly about 8 people on or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how that maths
I did
works,
not
but-
move from table 4.
Okay, what was the most
But
odd story you heard at table 4? Or odd fact about someone?
Well, we did like, what would your OnlyFans names be?
We did
And
Okay.
I thought that was hilarious.
And what was the best one you heard?
Squeaky clean socks.
oh,
I was like,
Nice.
oh, interesting.
I think mine was, he said, it's not racist
oh no,
because I'm saying it. What was it? Brown
it was
sugar?
brown sugar.
I was like, to be
sugar.
honest, it
That's
sounds pretty
clever.
tasty to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and then what was another one of the kind of icebreaker? It was like biggest fuck up. right?
Oh, yeah.
What was the biggest fuck up you heard that somebody, mentioned in the icebreakers?
Someone crashed their car right before the trip.
Before this trip?
Before this trip.
Was it a rental car or
No,
like
their car. Like their personal car.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was like, whoa, that's intense.
At
And then
least-
come to Greece.
Yeah,
Fine,
and it's
in the
like
past now.
I can just leave that at home. I'll just move to Greece.
Just ignore it.
Focus on that right now.
What's the kind of most amusing thing that's happened so far for you guys?
I mean, there's always a lot to that question.
There is, especially with the drinking.
Especially when you're drinking.
Especially. No one's fallen overboard on our boat yet.
Yeah, no one's fallen overboard. So
Okay.
that's a plus.
That's good.
There's
And
been
no one-
threats.
no
There's
one-
been threats.
No one had dropped any glass, and we were very proud of that on our boat
Yeah.
until we dropped 2 things of glass
Yeah,
on
we
the
had
boat.
glass shatter in the
Today.
cabin today.
So,
Oh, shit.
so don't jinx it.
We had a super
Yeah.
yacht come past us and created these massive waves, and the next thing you know, everything's flying around, and we locked it all up
Wow.
earlier, but
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
We love
when
our
you-
skipper.
Okay.
We feed him. We
Yep.
care for him.
we walk him.
What,
We
okay,
walk him.
what would you say that the basic rules of looking after your skipper is?
Oh my god, take care of your skipper. They're doing so much for you.
He's
They
keeping
are
us
driving
alive.
this big ass boat around Greece for you. So, befriend them. Make sure you're like this with them.
So, okay, day 2 of sailing.
Both days we've started with our sail off with popping a bottle of prosecco
Okay.
and drinking some prosecco while
Brilliant.
blasting
How many
music.
bottles do you reckon you've had?
We're starting it
3?
slow.
3.
Yeah, I'm not actually. Yeah, I think it's 3.
Also, keep a note when you're drinking prosecco. Aim the bottle away from people.
Yeah.
Oh no, I feel like there's a story there.
Not on this trip,
Okay.
but I have taken someone out with the bottle.
You almost did today.
I always loosen it before I pop it.
Mhm.
I almost hurt someone today with the bottle.
Oh god. Oh god.
Pitch.
It shot, and I wasn't ready for it to shoot.
So, tell me about your background and kind of how that reflects on the type of trip we're on.
Well, I've been sailing since I was 6.
Okay.
So let's start with that.
Mhm.
I'm on a sailing trip. I wanted to do something different because when I sail, I race. So
Mhm.
it's always very intense, like go with the flow. What's going on with the sails?
Yeah.
Who are my people? Why? Like, we're running the show. We're very involved.
Mhm.
And I want to do a trip where I'm getting experience with a new country
Yeah.
and also new people, but also getting a different perspective on sailing, where I can kind of sit back and be like,
So, are you helping on the boat?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I mean, we're helping on the boat. What feels really nice is the fact that it's kind of they're happy for you to help, and they're happy if you want to kind of lay back and relax.
Yeah,
Which means
exactly.
if you want to learn, you can.
Yeah.
But there's no pressure to, which
Exactly.
I'd say is like one of the best things about kind of Sales Squad is the fact that you're exposed to that.
Yeah.
Oh, I've been there.
Sedona?
Yeah, I was just in Sedona.
Really?
Yeah.
You saw the Sedona case.
Yeah, I was just there with my sister before coming here. I was traveling America for a month and a half.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What did you think of Sedona?
I
Was it hot when
really
you were
like.
there?
Yeah, it was early May, so it was not really hot. They're
Yeah.
going into their summer,
Mm-hmm.
but it was really nice because there was cool wind. I felt,
Yeah.
which I was talking to the people in Sedona, and they're like, it's not normally as windy as it's been.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys have lucked out in the sense. So that was nice. But we hit a few national parks in Utah and Arizona.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, that was amazing.
Boston.
Mm.
But this was before we knew each other.
Yeah.
So now you have to come back.
I have to come back.
See, this is crazy because on this trip, I met somebody who lives like 5 minutes walk from me.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, the UK people.
Have you met anybody from Boston?
Not from Boston, but like America. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's a big place, isn't
I
it?
mean, it is a big place, but it's easier for me to travel to like Texas or California
Mhm.
than it is to go to the UK.
So,
Yeah.
okay, so to kind of conclude, one last question.
Yeah.
From the trip so far, we're only 2 days in. Have you got friends that you've made on this trip that you could go and visit in another country
Oh
now?
my god,
100%.
100%. We already have
100%.
plans being
We
made.
already have plans.
Everyone is coming to Boston either on a sailboat
Yeah.
or in a pool, one way
Yeah.
or another. Everyone's coming to Boston.
Yes.
You're now coming to Boston as well.
Excellent.
Yep.
Okay.
We're all
We're all
Boston.
going to Boston.
I'll see you there.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And on that note, thanks for watching.
Excellent.
Perfect.
Thank you, Morgan.
Okay.
Sweet.